Check out the links in my description for more information, for more resources. Check out the podcast. Check out the Facebook groups. Just check out the links. There's a lot of great stuff there. Comment, rate, subscribe, share, like, dislike, whatever you want to do. This is my Hatchhyack Gogeta mill deck. 1 copy of the leader. 4 Gogeta thwarting the Dark Empire. 4 Goku the Defender. 4 Vegeta Skillless. 4 Oceanus. 4 Shenron Figure Majesty. 4 Towa Dimension Leaper. 4 Goku Adventure Begins. 4 4-Star Ball. 4 Power Burst. 4 Dirty Burst. 4 Goku and Vegeta Junior Saiyan Scion. 4 Janemba Wicked Agent of Destruction. 4 Raditz Giant Force. 4 Majin Buu Assault of Agent of Destructions. And 4 SS Gotenks Absolute Unison. So pretty much this is a combination of the Gogeta Skillless Aggro deck combined with the Janemba, the Blue Mill Hatchhyack deck. So it's just like a fusion of both playstyles combined. So that way I can play both, strategies in one deck, right? And that's the point of hybrid decks, right? And I am known for hybrid decks. So of course, just like in the Gogeta build, we're using the Goku Jr. to play out our skillless cards. I'm not using the skillless Goku like I was doing in the other version, because the other version was obviously just so that way I can always have Goku and Vegeta for the 10-drop and the 8-drop Gogetas. But in this build, I'm only going to go with just the Vegeta because I want to have the Deadly Defender, because Deadly Defender is very useful against Unison decks, or Unisons in general. I mean, it's a good card in general. Defensively, it comes in handy in many situations. It could potentially stop 2 to 3 attacks in the right conditions. And it has barriers, so it's definitely useful in certain situations. Like, for example, if this is on board on my opponent's side of the field, then I'm going to want something with barrier that I can swing with and start hitting their Unison, right? Start knocking off markers. Because a Unison like this, is a threat to thwarting. The idea is to make sure my opponent doesn't have a threat, right? They can stop me from using thwarting. Thwarting, of course, helps me out against hand control decks, because it will start controlling my opponent. So every time once per turn when I swing with it, my opponent will have to give up 2 cards from the hands and 2 cards from 2 battle cards, right? Ignoring barrier, which is useful. So there's barrier H right there, just like this Gotenks has some barrier H effect in it. So definitely take advantage of those things. All I need in order to play this is 4 energy and a Goku Zeno and a Vegeta Zeno in the drop or battle area in order to warp them to play this. So their levels and powers are relevant when it comes to the active main. So I can use any ones I want. He's 35k, triple attack and a blocker. So after you attack the first time, his auto will trigger, so you'll be able to restand at the end of the turn, so you can just keep swinging. So you can swing 3 times every turn with him and still be able to block because he is a blocker. So definitely a really good card, especially as a 4-drop with his effect. First, we have Oceanus for her Floodgate ability, her ability to negate attack, and she's a blocker, so you can potentially stop 2 or more attacks. From my experience, she just floods out, flat out just causes my opponent to end their turn on average. There's a couple times where my opponents obviously took the challenge, attacked, but they were slick to pop her, so I couldn't use it or block, and then start trying to attack. So that was a thing. We have Shenron, bringing him back because he serves a couple different purposes. Since Buu doesn't untap an energy like he would if I had a blue leader, he only untaps himself and lets me draw a card. So there's that. so at least I can attack and defend with them. So that's always good. You keep card advantage, but it's nice to be able to untap energy, especially when you're going up against blue decks. A lot of people do, talk about like their blue matchup when they play Hatchhyack tends to be a problem sometimes. And to me, it's like the only reason it would be a problem is because they're able to keep their energies up to defend more often than you as a Hatchhyack player. So it's like if you're tapping out a lot and they tap out, but then they always untap, that's what's giving them their advantage. So if you play Shenron Figure Majesty, he has the ability where you draw a card, right? Card advantage, right? Draw a card, and you can untap 2 energy. So you can tap out to play something, like pay 4 to tap out for him, for example, right? Or just pay 4 for him, and then use Shenron Figure Majesty, untap 2 energy. So one of the first things you want to do when you play him, like on turn 4, for example, is play him and then do the untap 2 energy first, before you start bringing anything back from the drop. That way you have the 2 energy for Oceanus, right? For Power Burst, maybe Dirty Burst, since you're more likely going to be untapping blue energy, right? You might want to trigger that blue, the counterplay part of the card. Better safe than sorry, right? But then on the following turn, which will typically be turn 5, right? Then you can start bringing stuff back from your drop for free, or giving 5k power and critical, to your leader or battle cards. Obviously, you're gonna do battle cards because the leader you're not awakening in this deck, so you're not attacking with the leader. So the fact you can get 5k boost every turn plus crit to battle cards obviously is useful, especially if you're swinging with like Deadly Defender. So Goku, for example, that way he's a 20k crit, so that way your opponent's not plussing any cards from their life in that scenario. And then of course you have Deadly Defender doing what Deadly Defender does, right? So synergy there. Of course, Shenron will help us typically bring back our Toa, Dimension Leaper. She's a blocker with Revenge. She also has counterplay ability, which comes in handy, and she's a 2-drop, so she essentially acts as another Oceanus. Because a scenario where your opponent might drop a battle card, and let's say the battle card has an ability to, for example, like this is a really good card, obviously, against, this would be good against Cell, because some people talk about like, Cell kills a Hatchhyack. Not to me, but for the ones who it does hurt, for them to drop the perfect for Cell or Cell Zeno, then this would be something you can use against it. Because what you do is obviously it's a counterplay, right? So they play their card, you pay 2, warp 2 cards from your drop, and then play her. Now you have a blocker with Revenge, right? Which helps against anything that can attack more than once. It bypasses barrier, so if the thing has barrier, it's irrelevant because Revenge bypasses barrier. And like I said, if they do something like Turning the Tide, you can play her, right, for 2. Bang, she hits the field. Because the Oceanus, a good card, but it's useless against something that does their effect on active main. Oceanus is only good during attacking, right? So that's why we have Toa for scenarios where our opponent has an active main or an auto, right? They play something and then now their effect triggers to affect their hand. So then that's where she comes in. So she helps us counter that. So it's like, oh, gotta have a blocker. And with Revenge, just in case whatever is attacking has more than one attack, like a dual attack or triple attack or something of that nature, then she will come in handy in that regards to help you defend. Let's say your opponent drops their own thwarting. Granted, thwarting can get rid of up to 2 battle cards on your side of the field, but you get to choose, as the player that's being attacked, you get to choose the battle cards that get warped. So hopefully you already have 2 battle cards in play. You can just warp to keep her in play and then use her to obviously block Gogeta, and then with the Revenge effect, get rid of them. Right? That's why just something to keep in mind. But of course, you can always just get her out and play early just by paying 2, right? Or using Figure Majesty to bring it out. As long as you get her out and play, she'll be there to do some work. Granted, she doesn't have barrier, That's why it's not a good idea to play her, like pay 2 and drop her against the Cell deck, because they could just pop her because she doesn't have a barrier. So that's why you wait until you need her and then counterplay her, so that way it can help you bypass. Granted, it depends on the situation. Hopefully, what they did was they already used their leader's popping ability to pop something you already had in play, and then they try to do their thing, and then you drop this. That's what I'm trying to say. Because obviously, it'd be if you play this when they play something, and then they're like, okay, I'll just get rid of with my leader's effect. Like, yeah, you got that. But you're hoping that they already used their leader effect already to get rid of something on your board, and then you drop this when they drop their cell or whatnot. So that helps in that situation. Goku, of course, is so you can recycle your 4-star ball, search it out, recycle it, right? Use it over again as combo fodder. As combo power, as well as combo fodder. Discard fodder for card effects like Oceanus, for example, or against hand control. And since we do have a skillless battle card in the deck, you can use this second active main. We pay 2 energy to play from the drop or the deck a skillless battle card 3 costs or less, like Gogeta. Obviously, is our target for that. And then, of course, that's just reusable combo power. So just think of it that way. You're using the active main to grab the 4-star ball. You're paying 2 to get a Gogeta, like let's say from the drop. Play it. Now you have 10k combo power that you can use over and over and over again just for 2 energy. 2 energy a turn. You got some combo power. 10k combo power you can use over and over again. So it's essentially the Uber combo strategy. So you have some endless combo power there, just like with this. You're drawing. So that's another thing. This will give you draw power. On top of the fact that, remember, we're not awakening our leader. We still use our leader's active main ability to put a card on there and stuff like that. But a lot of times we're just wasting 2 cards a turn just to draw a card with the leader's effect. So to make up for that, we use Shenron to draw a card every turn. So that way we're not going through our deck way too fast and losing out. Okay, second. Right, I'll check out. Don't know what I was doing, but let's just go straight to Power Burst. And it gets an attack. Obviously, that should get back your 1 drop. Goku Adventure begins if need be, but sometimes you can grab a Vegeta in case you need something to combo for combo power. Or you just want to be able to play it for 1 energy, swing with it, and then use 4-star ball on top of it. So for a 20k swing, if you have more than 1 4-star ball, then you can make them 30k, 40k, that kind of stuff. And of course, if you have 5 or more cards in your drop, you can take a card from your life in order to play this for free. For those situations, you might end up being tapped out. Dirty Burst. For 1 blue energy, you can negate attack or pay 2 blue energy. Draw a card, and then for the rest of the turn, your opponent can't attack with 7 costs or higher. This is a counterplay skill, so make sure you pay attention to your opponent's plays. That way you can play it on time. Because sometimes I forget to play it as soon as my opponent plays like an 8 drop. And it's like, oh no, I gotta make sure I played on their 8 drop. Or just in general, especially if I know they're going to play out an 8 drop, like to go the GT deck, or in case somebody has authority, you definitely don't want that attacking. So you definitely want to drop the 30 burst on that. A Soul Zeno, you want to drop the 30 burst, because 30 burst affects your opponent, not the battle card. So keep that in mind. Goku, Vegeta Jr. Obviously, we play for 1, swing with it, -1 to bring out 2 Vegetas, swing with 1 of the Vegetas, and use the other one for combo power to combo defensively, like a sword and shield strategy. Of course, if you have the 4-star ball, you can obviously bump Vegeta up to 20k swinging at your opponent, which is always good to have that type of power. Mid-game and above, which is essentially turn 3 and above, you want to be swinging 20k and above attack power towards your opponent, which applies a lot of pressure. On average, when you swing with 20k or 30k, your opponent typically just takes the damage. So you want to take advantage of that. I know I do. The other usefulness of it, obviously, is you can use it, do the +2 ability. Pay 2 to play for 2, right? Do the -1 ability, to bring out 2 skills battle cards that you can use as a combo power to get this up to a 20k if you need to, or just to have them as defense. Free combo power. So you can use it defensively. Another you can do is obviously you can, if you already still have the Vegetas in play, then you can take advantage of playing this for 1 plus Sing 1, so it becomes a 15k and the Vegetas become 15k, so that way you can swing 15k opponent. Of course, a 15k with a 4-star ball is 25k, so keep that stuff in mind. Obviously, you can just use this every turn as a +1, for its +1. That way you can just keep powering up the Vegeta, keep using the 4-star ball, engine with Vegeta, so you can just keep swinging about 20k, 25k every turn at your opponent. So there's an engine there. We got the Wicked Janemba. We mainly use it for its +0 ability, so help us mill out our opponent. Obviously, you want to wait until your opponent has like 10 or less cards or something like that, maybe 15 or less cards, and then just start using this to mill them. You don't want to try to use this early game. What you really want early game is your Raditz. The sooner you get him out there, the sooner you can, keep your defenses up. Early game, obviously, you're going to use your Goku Junior to obviously go aggro, high pressure, and then use it, and also use it as defense. So it's both offense and defensive, the way if you use it right, like how you use it. And then once you have the ability to play this, you play this, obviously, and you'll be able to attack and draw a card and be able to block 2 attacks per turn with it. So this is your workhorse right here. This is your main unison you want to get out there and have it out until late game, like turn 5 and above. Then at that point, that's when you can start switching to your Majin Buu or your Janemba, in case you want to start milling your opponent out. Majin Buu obviously comes in handy in helping you kill unisons. Obviously, high pressure. You can use it as a finisher because it is double strike, right? It also has defensive capabilities, right? It's -1 auto, which is very powerful. And then, it's a blocker, so it can block. So, and of course, you draw, so you're not losing draw power. Even though we're not awakening our leader, we still got some draw power. So having this in play, having Shenron in play, drawing 2 cards every turn, so that's always good. Gotenks is just there mainly for his -3 ability, ignoring barrier, and get rid of 2 of your opponent's battle cards. So this comes in handy in situations where your opponent has battle cards that have barrier. And that does come up a lot. A lot of cards have barrier, especially problematic ones. So obviously you want this to help you get rid of those. Granted, putting cards at the bottom of your opponent's deck counterintuitive to the whole milling part of the deck, but milling is just one aspect of it. Because if you get to a point where your opponent is low on cards, this will definitely help you. So I was in a scenario where my opponent had 3 cards left in their deck. I was like, damn, if I had Janemba in my deck, I could just play it, do the +0. He would draw a card, mill a card, and he would have 1 card left, and then I just end my turn, and he'll draw the last card, and game over, just with that alone. So something to keep in mind. Also, Janemba late game is definitely useful for slowing your opponent down. Hopefully hitting some of their good 1-ofs, because most people have ratios where they play 1 copy or 2 copies of cards. So having something like this is useful as just a way to control the game, right? A way to slow your opponent down. Also, this can be used as a finisher because it's -2 ability. If your opponent has 15 or less cards in their deck, which is why it's important to keep track of the cards in the deck, right? This card gains 15k power and triple strike for the turn. So it becomes a 30k triple strike. 30k base triple strike. So you definitely can use it as a finisher. Let's see. Just remember the 4-star ball only works on the leader and battle cards, not unisons, so don't accidentally use it to power up your unisons. I've done that at least once by accident. Okay, pretty much that's the end of the video.